Good morning, YouTube. We're back out in the barn this morning and trying to do something about this mess. And we got a heck of a mess. Yesterday we went after one spot in the barn where we can move a car in and out. And today I would like to unbury that 1984 Pontiac Trans-Am. That's my almost 800 horsepower Trans-Am. It's got a 383 stroker built out of a MoTown block. It's basically a Chevrolet 350 block that we went and made into a 383. And it's got a 671 blower sitting on top with dual carburetors. And I would like to get that thing where we can actually see it, take some pictures of it, and put it on the internet and get it sold. Because I need the room. As you can tell, we ain't got any room to work on anything. So, yeah, we got some work ahead of us today. Hopefully Thomas is going to wake up and come and help me out, and we'll knock a dent in this thing. So here we have the ticket magnet. This is a 1984 Trans-Am that I bought, and I haven't done anything to the body. The body was in pretty good shape when I got it, but when I got it many years ago, the engine, transmission, and the brakes were toast. And I went and restored all that, rebuilt it, went out and raced for about 3 years. Had a lot of fun. Put subframe connectors on it. It's got a suspension system in the back to help it hook up. And I went and put a cage in it. And at the end of that 3 years, I wanted to upgrade. I built this motor. When I built this motor, originally, it was going to be built for an old school hot rod that was not going to be racing, but it was just going to be put into an old school hot rod to drive around. And I wanted 100,000 miles plus, so everything in this engine was built to that specification. This is not necessarily a racing engine, although it wouldn't take much to get it there. It's got roller rockers and no expense was spared. I spent over 10 grand just on the engine. I've got over 45 grand in the entire car. And as soon as I got this engine in and started wiring it up to take it down to the drag strip, you can see the wiring harness here, they went and closed down the Navasota drag strip, and then they closed down the Sealy drag strip. And let me tell you, I was pissed. I mean, just test. And I stopped. And then we moved out here. And then I got meningitis. Spinal meningitis and cerebral meningitis, and it damn near killed me. And my neurologist said with all seriousness, Bill, you will never race again. At least not with this. And feeling like I did at the time, I had to agree with him. My reactions were shot. Let's just put it this way. It wouldn't be safe to have me and other people out on the racetrack at the same time. So, this car has sat ever since. And I need to get rid of it. And I need to get rid of it like real soon. Because I need the space in the barn. Now, sitting down here in front, I've got a Ford 9-inch rear end that's all set up for a Trans Am with disc brakes. It's ready to install. The only reason why it hasn't been installed is because I've got to go and take all the suspension stuff that I welded to the old rear end and weld it onto this. For a good mechanic, that's no big deal. But I hadn't gotten around to it because I was trying to get this thing wired up to where it would move under its own power, and then I'd go and put it up and completely redo the entire rear end. But again, I never got around to it. When I say I put a cage in here, I put a pretty healthy cage. And unfortunately, with the lighting that we've got, it's not going to show it real well, but we're going to try to show it to you. I got a B&M shifter down here. It's got a turbo, I want to say it's a turbo 350 that's built for about 1,000 horsepower that's in it, because this thing was supposed to make just a little less than 800 horsepower. 1,400 with nitrous. Although I don't see me ever putting nitrous on it, but we built it with the idea that if I wanted to do nitrous someday, we could, with just a few little tweaks. So, let me try to show you the interior of this thing. Okay. This cage that we put in, it's got the stress bars in the front, goes over the top, it's got the full crown around it, all over the top. It's got the crossbar so that you can attach all of your seat belts to and everything. I've got all the parts, and this is all the paperwork, including the title. It's got a whole bunch of records of receipts and stuff that we've spent on it. We've got, go ahead and hand me the camera real quick. There you go. Like I say, it's kind of hard to see, but you got the B&M shifter there. We've got all of the stuff on the top for knock alert, the painless wiring harness stuff, your tachometer, whoops, excuse me, the tachometer, big old switch box. And believe it or not, this thing had a rockin' stereo in it at one time. And got padding on it. Interior's a bit of a mess, but it's still in there and intact. I wanted to make it so that it wasn't a show car, but it was at least something I could take to car shows and not be embarrassed about. And let me show you the engine real quick.
It's a lot bigger than the Miata engine.
A lot bigger than the Miata engine.
It would fit.
This is the 800 horsepower motor. This was built on a MoTown block because we went through about 10 different Chevy 350 blocks, and my engine builder couldn't find any that he liked. His big deal was the lifters were just a little bit out of alignment. So we got this MoTown block, brand spanking new. This is what NASCAR uses from what I understand. And he went and machined it to his specifications. And like I say, no expense was spared on this engine. I spent well over $10,000 on this engine. And that was it was not a budget build. It's never been fired up. We put it in here, we're gonna wire it, and we never got around to starting it up. There's the MSD blaster coil. Some instrumentation on the back of the scoop. And I'm really bummed. Whoever buys this from me, I'm going to have one condition. I'm going to want to hear it run. Whatever he does to it, I want to hear this engine run at least one time in my lifetime, because I built this as a special project, and yeah, it was one of my life's goals. And you may or may not be able to see the inspection sticker. 2003, I think, was the last time this was on the road. And yeah, 2003. This was a lot of fun. And then I stuck that motor in there, and I haven't driven it since. Go ahead and open up the back, Thomas. We've got a whole bunch of parts back here.
Hey, and these still work.
Yes, the little lift cylinders actually still work.
Which is like unusual.
I've got a whole bunch of parts back here. I've got extra headers. I've got a whole bunch of parts. You might see the shelving over there. That shelving is chock full of Firebird parts as well. It's got a lot of stuff. All the parts for Firebirds that I own are going to go with this car. So whoever buys this car is going to end up with the car and every single spare part that I've got in my inventory. And it's not a bad car. I had a lot of fun with this car for about 3 years. And yeah, and then this happened. So, if you're interested, send me an email to flatpossum1231@yahoo.com. That email address is flatpossum, FLATPOSSUM. Don't close it.
Don't close it? Okay.
FLATPOSSUM 1231, like the last day of the year, at yahoo.com. And I want to get this thing out of here, because I need the space. I wish I had my lift operational, or I'd put it up in the air and show you all the mods we've done underneath it. I mean, I've got a super duper badass exhaust on it. I don't know if you can see that. It's got Summit Racing bullet mufflers on the tail end. No catalytic converter, because, you know, it's not a street car. And all sorts of suspension mods and subframe connectors and all that good stuff. So, if you're interested, send me an email. If you know somebody that's interested, send them an email and have them send me an email. It's kind of heartbreaking for me to get rid of this. That right there was my permanent number for the Lone Star Dragway. And I was out there with Ramblin' Rose Racing and Thunderfoot Racing. And yeah. And go check out possumfarms.com. That's our website. Well, thanks for coming out, hanging out with us today, and getting a little bit of work done in the barn. I appreciate you watching. And again, if you know somebody that wants an '84 Trans-Am that's been modified, drop me an email at flatpossum1231@yahoo.com. Come back and see us.